For decades, technological dominance has largely been concentrated within a cluster of advanced industrial powers, shaping standards, supply chains, and global regulatory frameworks. If a major AI summit were hosted in New Delhi in 2026, it would mark something unprecedented. Not just another meeting, but the first time AI governance would be centered in the global south. It would signal that AI is no longer a tool shaped only by advanced Western economies. It would declare that scale, population scale, linguistic scale, developmental scale, now matters in shaping AI rules. India represents nearly 1/5 of humanity. When a country of that scale speaks about AI ethics, data sovereignty, and public digital infrastructure, the global framework shifts. In 2023, the United Nations issued an extraordinary warning. Artificial intelligence, it said, carries risks comparable to nuclear war and global pandemics. Days later, 28 nations gathered at Bletchley Park, the same estate that once cracked Nazi codes, to confront a new kind of power. Since then, AI has stopped being just a technology story. It has become a story about control, about sovereignty, about global influence. And quietly, steadily, India has begun moving toward the center of that story. In November 2023, the United Kingdom hosted the world's first AI safety summit at Bletchley Park. The symbolism was deliberate. This was the place where code once determined the fate of nations. 28 countries, along with the European Union, signed what became known as the Bletchley Declaration. It acknowledged, for the first time at a global level, that advanced AI systems carry systemic and potentially catastrophic risks. The warning echoed what Antonio Guterres had already said. AI's dangers could rival nuclear conflict or pandemics if left ungoverned. Not extinction prophecy, but strategic risk. India signed the declaration early, not loudly, not theatrically, but decisively. Momentum did not fade. In May 2024, a follow-up summit took place in Seoul. Participation expanded. Discussions matured. The focus shifted from fear to infrastructure, testing frontier AI models, creating national safety institutes, building shared evaluation protocols. By early 2025, countries were no longer debating if AI needed governance. They were building mechanisms to implement it. The UK launched its AI Safety Institute. The United States followed with its own model testing frameworks. China continued parallel development under state supervision. This was no longer ethics theater. This was strategic positioning. And in the middle of it, India made its own move. In 2024, the government of India approved the India AI Mission, a 10,372 crores initiative, approximately $1.25 billion US. The mission prioritizes compute infrastructure, indigenous AI models, skilling programs, startup acceleration, responsible AI frameworks. This was not symbolic diplomacy. It was ecosystem building. India had already hosted the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence Summit in 2020, a platform involving major democratic economies to shape human-centric AI governance. Now, instead of just participating in global AI conversations, India was building domestic capacity to influence them. The strength of a nation in AI is not measured only by summits. It is measured by systems deployed in the real world. Indian startup Niramai developed AI-based thermal imaging for early breast cancer detection, usable even in rural clinics. Sarvam AI began building large language models optimized for Indian languages, critical in a country with vast linguistic diversity. Globally, labs like DeepMind advanced scientific AI with AlphaFold 3, predicting protein interactions at unprecedented depth. Meanwhile, emerging economies such as Kenya used AI platforms like Apollo Agriculture to improve farmer yields. AI was not theoretical anymore. It was infrastructural. And India's demographic scale made its deployment impact uniquely powerful. No AI race can ignore semiconductors. Today, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, produces roughly 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductor chips, those below 5 nanometers. That concentration is a geopolitical vulnerability. India has begun announcing semiconductor manufacturing initiatives. Intent is unmistakable. Reduce strategic dependence. AI leadership is not only about algorithms, it is also about silicon. This is where India's role becomes strategic. It is one of the few nations that simultaneously has a massive digital population, maintains democratic governance, invests in sovereign AI infrastructure, engages in multilateral diplomacy, and remains positioned between Western and Eastern blocs. But it has scale, talent, and state-backed structure. In geopolitics, that combination matters. The AI story began in Silicon Valley labs. It escalated in global summits. It now unfolds in emerging power centers. And India is no longer observing from the margins. It is preparing for leverage. The India AI Impact Summit 2026, hosted at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, marked a decisive turning point where India positioned itself not as a follower, but as a central architect of global AI governance. bringing together 20-plus heads of state, representatives from 100-plus countries, and over 500 global AI leaders, including CEOs from Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Qualcomm. The summit highlighted commitments and ecosystem momentum, crossing $270 billion in investments, signaling that AI in India has moved firmly from experimentation to enterprise-grade deployment. The event concluded with the adoption of the New Delhi Declaration, a framework aimed at reshaping global AI governance around inclusivity, safety, and development-oriented, flexible guardrails, rather than rigid regulatory silos. Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduced the Manav vision, expanding it as a blueprint for moral and ethical AI, accountable systems, national sovereignty in data and compute, accessible and inclusive technology across languages and demographics, and valid and legitimate AI aligned with democratic values, a distinctly Indian articulation of responsible innovation. Infrastructure and sovereignty emerged as core pillars: sovereign AI compute, 100 megawatts of green energy AI infrastructure scaling toward 1 gigawatt under the Hypervolt initiative, rack-scale AI data center deployment. Sectoral transformation was emphasized through 6 AI impact casebooks, showcasing 170-plus deployed innovations across health, education, agriculture, and gender empowerment, alongside the strong showcasing of the Bhashini multilingual platform supporting 22 Indian languages, the launch of the AIpreneurs of India initiative by Atal Innovation Mission, Qualcomm's demonstration of humanoid physical AI, and sustainability efforts like the Sustainable AI Hackathon. With a clear invitation to the world, design and develop in India, deliver to the world, India presented itself as a global AI service and infrastructure hub, while the summit's strong emphasis on AI by design safety, deepfake mitigation, and a trusted AI framework underscored that India's rise in AI leadership is being built on the dual foundations of scale and responsibility. The AI era will not be shaped by technology alone. It will be shaped by nations that understand its power and build responsibly around it. The question is no longer whether India will participate. The question is how far it intends to go.